It is now 7 o'clock and call this meeting of the Wakefield Conservation Commission to order. First order of business will be roll call. Eleanor?
Present.
Jennifer?
Present.
And I'm present. Jimmy Luciani has resigned effective today. So we are now a commission of 3. Disappointed. I knew Jimmy was going to be stepping away, but I thought it was going to be next year when his term expired. But he made the decision and sent us all a note today that he's resigning. So what you see is what you get. First item on the agenda then will be dealing with the minutes from the meeting of July 1st. Are there any comments or edits to those?
Yeah.
Okay.
Paul, because we got them late Sunday night, it's not enough time for me to review. I did see something I want to correct, but I want to spend a little more time.
Well, we can hold them till next time then, and
Yeah.
put them at the next meeting.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
And sorry not to be difficult. It's just Mondays and Tuesdays are incredibly busy.
Yeah, it'd be helpful to get them a bit in advance.
Yeah.
So. Okay, so we will take them up next time at our first meeting in August. The next item on the agenda is DEP 313651 L&L Development LLC on Salem Street. They've asked that to be held to the August 5th meeting, so we won't be taking that up tonight. The next item is, theoretically, we should be waiting till 7:10 to speak to this, so. DEP 313608, which is the 200 to 400 Quantapallet Parkway. Is the applicant here?
Hi, yes, this is Marissa Gallup, CCNF. And I believe that we have Allison and Nick Delacava on from our consultant team to speak to this.
Mark Arnold and Adam Zwick are also here, wetlands consultants for the project.
Okay. Then I guess we can proceed with that if you aren't expecting any other members from your team.
No, I don't believe so. Allison, are you on to speak to the first item?
Yep. Hi guys, Allison here at Copley Wolf, landscape architect on the project. I'm going to share my screen if that's all right.
Certainly.
Thanks. Okay, so what we're looking at is our tree mitigation plan for 200 Quantapallet. We have some existing trees that we've been protecting on site, and 2 of those are in poor condition that we've kind of had on watch throughout construction. They're both located in pretty primary locations, close to walking paths, close to the drive, etc. So we had an arborist come out and take a look at those with the intent of removing them and replacing them on like kind. So essentially what we have here is a sugar maple that we would like to remove and replace with a 3-inch caliper red maple. And then we also have a European beech tree right here highlighted in yellow, and looking to replace that with a 3-inch caliper tupelo. I have the report from the arborist up, and essentially we have them come out. They did, a full report on both trees to understand and explain to us that they do not recommend saving these. These would be considered kind of hazardous to have remain in those locations, being pretty much close to public activity. So there are other trees on site as well that we are, despite being in poorer condition, we see as environmental benefits that we will be remaining. Those are kind of out in this conservation area as well. So it's really just these two that we would like to ask for that for. Let me know if you guys have any questions. I can also flip to the report if we want to look at any of the details.
I think it might be helpful to just see an indication of the condition of those two trees.
Absolutely, yeah. So so the first one we were looking at is the sugar maple. This is T6 on our plans. Apologies, the photo is a little dark, but you can see, this tree, and happy to pull up photos of prior to construction. It has been in pretty stressful situation just in existence. What they recommend due to just the existing conditions of this tree would be to remove it. And then I can scroll down to the beech tree. This one, you can, again, hard to see, but it's, when we first did our site visit prior to construction back in 2021, this is a very large cavity in the tree. It's almost fully hollowed out. We
That was there when you did the first site visits?
correct, yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so both trees were noted in poor condition during our initial site visit in 2021.
So this looks like it was a purple beech then?
A European beech, yeah, it has purple,
European beech.
yeah.
Yeah. The purple leaves.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, and our thought then was to put something back that would be native, in both situations, something that's more just habitat friendly, I think, in the area that we are.
Questions from the commissioners?
No, I think that's pretty clear. It seems like there was an effort to keep those trees there, but some pre-existing issues with the trees, and then I think the stress of construction too. Yeah, I think it makes sense.
Alan, or anything to add?
No.
Okay.
Okay, great. That was the only update we had on landscape. I'm going to pass it over to Nick at A&M to talk about the grading.
Sure. Thank you, Allison. Again, Nick Delacava with Allen and Major Associates. We are the site civil engineers for the project. I'll share my screen here. I'll go over some of the grading updates that we're proposing in the area between our development site and the lake. I know some or all of the commission members may not have been present during the initial permitting process, but essentially what was already approved, we had connected and graded into the existing lawn space at the property line, which is shown here in red, the red thick line. And what we're proposing to do now is raise portions of the offsite area that I have here highlighted in red by about 1 to 2 feet in most locations, with a max increase in elevation of 3 feet. Essentially, what we're doing is raising this portion to kind of mimic the grades on the other side of our basins, which are shown here in this hatched color. These are stormwater basins. They handle all the runoff from the site after they pass through underground infiltration systems, as well as the roof runoff from each of the buildings. The basins themselves are entirely on our development property. The proposed modifications that we're making are off-site and on the town's property. And we understand if the commission chooses to approve these minor modifications, that there still are additional steps that we need to take in order to actually perform the work. My understanding is we would have to get permission from the select board to do this work on the town's property, and as well as address some of the engineering department's comments that we received towards the end of last week. So just to walk you through this a little bit more, we have the FEMA floodplain that borders along the edge of the lake. It's shown here in this dashed blue line. All of the proposed work is outside of that floodplain, so we're not filling or modifying any of the floodplain in this area. There is some work between the 25 and 100-foot wetland buffer, again within the existing lawn space, but there's no modifications or work proposed within 25 feet of that flagged wetland. We are defining this channel. So let me walk you through kind of how the stormwater management system operates. Everything goes through the underground chambers. The roof runoff gets discharged directly to the basins. During large storm events, these basins will overflow. They were designed and approved to overflow through a riprap weir that discharges into a settling area on our property. That settling area originally is graded at the same elevation as the rest of the grassed area off-site, which is plus or minus at elevation 83. And it would all overflow then to these existing drain pipes that then discharge directly into the lake.
Can I pause you, Nick? I'm so sorry, but
Sure.
can you point as you're speaking? Because I think there's a delay coming through, at least on my end, so it's hard to tell what you're talking about on the plan. So if you can use your cursor.
Can you see my cursor?
No.
No,
I don't know how to make it visible. Let's see. Can you see it now?
no, I see nothing
No.
moving at all on the screen.
Can you see the plan zoom in and out?
Yes, yeah, the plans are there,
Let me
but
see.
I see no cursor at all.
Let me just draw on here then. Can you see this?
Maybe.
See the red circle?
Yes,
Yeah,
All right, so I'll just draw as I go.
okay,
yeah, and maybe
So-
zoom out and then zoom back in just so it's, yeah, a little.
yeah,
hard.
okay, so that's a riprap area then?
Yeah, so this is on our property. This was originally approved. It hasn't been changed, and we're still keeping it the way it was. But these basins fill up, which is all the gray area, and they overflow into over this weir here. And
What
then
kind
they
of a
get
storm event does it take to cause them to overflow?
about 3.5 to 4 inches of rain,
Okay,
which is a pretty large event. I know lately we've had some pretty big storms, but I would say on a daily average or a weekly average, these basins will hold all the water and then infiltrate
Mhm.
the majority of it. During 3.5 and 4 inches of rainfall and above, these basins are designed to fill up and overflow through this weir into this settling area here, and then
Can you
overflow
point out sorry, can you point out the weir again?
Can you see the red circle?
Yes, okay.
So that's the weir. It's just a riprap.
Riprap structure
Yeah,
that.
it's not even a
takes-
structure. It's
Takes the
just
flow from.
yeah. It's just the
Essentially, it's
riprap.
at the end of the two basin, and flow goes over the top of it and down to a slightly lower elevation to the settling
Yes.
basin.
Yep,
And
into
the
this
settling basin is that area between,
Yeah, it's where I'm highlighting the circle right now.
right? Okay.
You see this in here?
Mhm.
So this settling area is the low point, and we've defined this channel across to these existing storm drains. Can you see this circle highlighting them now?
Yes,
Mhm.
those are existing storm drains. So
Those are
so essentially
existing. And that was always the intent. That was the original design. The only change is we've made this a more defined channel to get to these drainage pipes, which would leave the majority of the offsite area usable, which is all the red highlighted areas. Those are, again, 1 to 2 feet in most locations, up to 3 feet max above what exists today. The intent is to loam and seed these areas to match all the existing grass that's out there, as well as the grass that will be at the top of these basins along the berm on our property. So all the hatched area in red, that will remain more or less dry 100% of the time and allow the stormwater to pass through as originally intended to these existing drains.
So the berms are, these 2 berms in pink or red are an addition now to the site plan?
Yeah. Yep. So everything on the other side of this, I forget you can't see my cursor. This is the red property line that I'm showing.
Yes.
Everything on the bottom side of that red line is what's being proposed today. This is the minor modification that we're looking to do. And again, as originally approved and designed, we just had a berm that kind of rode along the edge of our property line and then blended down into the existing grades on the town's property, which again was all at elevation, 83.5 and a low-lying area that would more than likely be saturated during, any large storm event.
So you'll be raising that to avoid that kind of eventuality.
Exactly, make it more
and
usable.
Controlling the flow to this channel that you've noted.
Exactly, yes. And the proposed grades that we're showing now, this minor mod, would align with the approved and proposed grades on the development side of our basins. And again, we're not working with any floodplain. There is no work within the 25-foot buffer. These areas would be loam and seeded to match the existing condition that's out there today. And we fully intend on providing formal responses to each of the 3 comments we received from the engineering department.
Can you zoom back out a little bit, Nick? Okay.
So you can see here, let me drag this circle along. This is the existing lake path. This remains unchanged. We're not proposing any modifications to it. This is the existing seating area that was out there. We're not making any proposed modifications as part of this minor mod. And really, it's just a grading exercise at the end of the day. There's no trees that we're disturbing. We've made sure to blend these proposed grades into the existing grades at the edge condition.
So essentially at the property line, you're essentially going to be matching the elevation, which is more or less the top of the berm at 80. Am I reading it as 85? Am I correct in that?
86 would be this top contour along the property line. And then it goes down to 85 and then 84, which is plus or minus the existing grade all along this edge.
And then the floodplain is at 83.
That's correct.
I guess I'd want to make sure the town engineer agrees with your floodplain here. It looks a little bit different on Mass Mapper. I walk this area a lot, especially in springtime, and I can tell you that area between the existing path and all the way to the fencing where the construction is going is pretty much underwater today. And then sometimes on the, side of the path towards the lake, that can be pretty wet as well with the, sometimes even parts of the sidewalk get inundated. But usually it doesn't come as high. It's kind of settled in, this area between the existing path and the building that's lower lying. And there was a lot of, I would almost say meadow vegetation that had grown there over the period there was construction. So that helped somewhat. I'd be a little concerned with this grading that I know you're saying there's no impact to the FEMA flood area, but just from experience walking there, that whole area just gets super saturated. And I would be a little concerned that now water is just going to be closer to the lake or submerge that walking path completely because there's less, there's less places for it to go. It's just concentrated.
Sure. Well, we'll definitely make sure we run all this by the city engineer and make sure they're in agreement with where we're showing the floodplain line again, which it hasn't changed since the original approval. And make sure we get their sign off before performing any work.
Yeah, looking at the comments from Public Works, the town engineer, it would appear that they do have some concerns about basin appearing to shrink considerably.
So I have their comments here, and I'm happy to go through them.
I think it would be helpful to understand your thoughts against what they've suggested.
Sure. So comment 1, this is in relation to that that defined channel that I discussed. So the applicant has modified the dimensions of the emergency overflow area associated with the stormwater basin. The approved stormwater report modeled this area as approximately 50 feet in length by 60 feet in breadth, meaning the width. Based on the revised grading plan, the proposed configuration appears to be approximately 50 feet. Again, which it hasn't changed. It's still the same distance from those existing drain pipes in length by 10 to 12 feet in breadth, meaning we did shrink the width to create that defined channel to those pipes. Provide calculations or supporting documentation to demonstrate the site will continue to have no net increase in runoff rate and volume in the proposed condition. So essentially what they're asking us to do here, let me go back to the site plan. This area here, they're asking us to model this or update our model to show this newly defined channel as only 12 to 15 feet wide, and to show that these existing drain pipes and the runoff going towards the lake does not increase the rate or the volume. And we are fully prepared to update the model and send the updated calculations to them showing that there is no increase in rate or volume to the lake from what was originally approved. Is there any questions on that before I go to the second comment?
How can there be no change if you're shrinking the area?
Because it's such a small volume of water that's going there. The majority of the water gets managed in our basins on our property in the gray hatched areas. It's a very large basin. So the small volume of water that does make its way over this weir into the settling area and then on its way to the pipes is very small. And a 12 to 15 foot wide channel can hold, a lot more water than these existing pipes would ever be able to handle.
So are you raising the grade of that area on both sides of that channel now then to
That's
essentially to the pink shows essentially areas that are being graded upwards that previously would have provided storm storage?
They would not have provided storm storage. It would have just provided a larger area for any overflow to pass over towards these existing pipes. And in a lot of cases, you're probably only getting 50% of the water that overflows this weir into the pipes because of
Mhm.
how broad this flat area is.
Mhm.
It kind of we modeled it as 50 feet wide at elevation, 83.2. And so there's really no exact way of knowing where the water would go precisely under if we just left it as the existing condition.
Mhm.
And what we're doing here is kind of managing that water and where and controlling where it goes and directing it more definitively towards these existing pipes by raising the grades on either side of the channel. Um, does that make sense to the board, to the commission?
Well, in my mind, when I've been there, I'll see 2 inches of water, right? That's spread over a big area that you can step in, and it, covers your foot, but not your entire shoe. But now you're going to concentrate it so you'd have one area that looks like it could be 2 feet deep over a smaller area. Is that what you're
Yeah, no, it
proposing?
would not. So our hydraulic model will show exactly the ponding depth within this channel. We have not run those calculations because again, we just received the comments at the end of last week, but I am confident that it will not be, we're not talking feet of water in this channel. I would say inches, less than 6 inches.
Nick, also to clarify, I think your stormwater design is mitigating the runoff that usually goes to this area in the basins because of the existing conditions, right? And so the water naturally concentrates towards that pipes. We've seen that during construction after major storms from our SWIP inspections. The water naturally tries to get to these pipes already, in a pretty efficient manner. And I think, Nick, from your stormwater design, you're mitigating some of that ponding that does sheet flow to the lake in the basins itself. So that should be mitigating the effect as well, right?
Yeah, so I don't have the existing conditions plan with me, but essentially all the runoff from the old building and the old parking lot, about 50% of it made its way towards this low-lying area off-site, which definitely contributed to the saturated ground that you're talking about. You step in it, it doesn't cover your shoe, but you definitely get a little wet. And what we've done under, the master plan of this whole stormwater management system is collect that on our property in underground chambers that infiltrate into the ground. When those overflow, they overflow into these basins. Again, that's all this gray hatched area. And
Mhm.
those build up by about 2.5 feet. They'll hold about 2.5 feet of water before overflowing this weir. So I think off the top of my head, it's somewhere in the realm of 30 to 40,000 cubic feet of storage volume that we have incorporated into the proposed design on our property, which never existed, before we came and made any changes or improvements to the site.
And a question, so this channel that now I think directs water from the weir to the drain, that's fully underground or that's above
It's above ground.
It's above
Yep.
ground?
It'll look like
Okay.
lawn. It'll look like a lawn space just like it does today.
Okay, gotcha. Okay,
And again, the intent would be to concentrate that low saturated area just in this one area instead of having all of the lawn become saturated during, pretty small rain events.
okay.
But there are pipes at the end of it that pick up some of that flow across the grassy area and take it to the lake.
That's correct.
All right.
And those were installed long ago because there was saturation happening and puddling
Mhm.
happening, and they didn't want it going over the path. So the pipes were put
Right.
in by
Pipes were essentially,
the town just to provide relief for sheet flow overflow.
okay.
And if you remember, there was a pretty undefined stormwater basin under the existing condition that was just beyond the edge of pavement that was out there, before we came in and started developing the site. And that low-lying basin eventually overflowed to these pipes. And one of the requirements as part of the stormwater handbook is to maintain existing drainage patterns. And so that's essentially what we've done. And that's why we've situated our overflow in this location to help direct that runoff towards these pipes. So I'll go to the second comment, and we can come back to the first comment if there's any other questions. The revised grading plan appears to introduce slopes near the 83-foot flood elevation that approach or exceed a 1-to-1 ratio. While erosion may not be a primary concern under these conditions, slope armoring should be considered to maintain long-term stability. Confirm the proposed slope ratio and, where applicable, provide details for appropriate slope stabilization measures. Additionally, grading that extends into the floodplain shall be supported by compensatory storage calculations demonstrating no net loss of flood storage capacity. Submit revised plans and documentation for review. So I'll tackle the last portion of that first. Go back to the plan here and zoom out. So pending, final approval from the engineering department that they do agree with where we've always showed this FEMA floodplain line that's shown here in blue. Assuming that's correct and they agree with it, all of the proposed grading that we've presented tonight does not impact that floodplain elevation. There's no filling within the floodplain, and therefore there are no compensatory flood storage calculations that we can even provide, because again, we're not filling anything. Now, the first part of this, they were concerned with the grading up to and right near that floodplain elevation, saying we approach or exceed a 1-to-1 slope. And I haven't discussed this exactly with the engineering department, but I have a feeling they are referring to possibly this location here, where you see our 84 contour coming right up against this 83. It's not a 1-to-1. It's a little deceiving because typically we grade out these berms at 3-to-1. So you look at this and it seems like it's a 1-to-1, like it's right on top of it. It's actually 3 feet away. So it's a 3-to-1 slope right at this location, right at the pinch point. And I'm happy to pull this back if the engineering department would prefer us to go to a 4 or 5 or 6-to-1 slope and kind of pull this whole slope a little bit further away from the floodplain. That was one location in a similar condition. Drag this over along the existing seating area here, where you can see again the 84 kind of comes pretty close to the 83. The way we initially graded this out is we offset the floodplain by 3 feet and made that our 84 contour, ensuring that it's no steeper than a 3-to-1 slope, which is a pretty common slope. All our slopes in our basin, they're all graded out at 3-to-1. They'll be loam and seeded, stabilized. There's no erosion concern there. But again, if it would make the engineering department more comfortable, we can definitely pull these areas back a little bit and create a gentler slope. Are there any questions on that second comment? I'm happy to clarify anything. Okay.
All right, Nick, and just to be clear, this section in red, this is all new from the original proposal, like the,
Correct. Yeah, so the original proposal, all of the limits of our grading ended right at the property line. We blended and matched the existing grade at the property line, which is again elevation 83.5, 84 in some locations. And we're raising it to elevation 86 is the highest point along here. And it's all flat.
and who's going to be maintaining this?
I believe, Marissa, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think there's an easement agreement for the applicant to maintain the areas offsite and adjacent to your
Yes.
property.
Yes, this is part of our easement area. where we will be maintaining. Which is part of the documentation that we had submitted and gotten approved from the town council.
Was that back in 22 or something?
21, 22?
You're talking about the
I don't-
documentation we had
Yes.
we resubmitted that recently during, I believe it was like the beginning of May, they had a meeting where we resubmitted all the updated documentation. So that was this past May.
So we would have received that in your submittal this year.
Did we receive that? I don't,
I can't say that I know. I'm going to have to grab a different computer to check. See if it's in my files. Ethan, can you speak to that at all?
I don't think I have it in my files, but I may have just overlooked it. The agreement was part of the town meeting in the spring, and then following that, it was to authorize the town council to make that official agreement.
Okay.
oh. I understood that differently at the meeting. Okay, it would be good to see the documentation.
Yeah.
Do you want me to proceed with the third comment?
Sure.
Okay. The revised grading directs a portion of the offsite grassed overland flow that was previously discharging toward the lake into the proposed surface basin. Provides supplemental documentation, including updated stormwater modeling or calculations, confirming that the basin is capable of accommodating the rerouted flow, and to demonstrate that the site will continue to have no net increase in runoff rate and volume in the proposed condition. So, kind of walk you through that. So, like I'd said before, the approved plans, basically there was a high point that we created along our property line that was a berm, and that berm was for the basins, again shaded here in gray, and then everything from the property line south towards the lake continued to, be directed into the lake. And the engineering department's concern with that comment was by creating this level, raising this grade through here, we're essentially creating a new high point that is no longer following the property line. It's offset the property line by, 10, 15 feet, maybe plus or minus. And a portion of this high point will be directed into the basins. And then a portion of it, the lower half will continue to go towards the lake. And their concern is that we are now letting more runoff from the offsite areas run off into our basins. And they're worried about whether or not these basins can handle that additional volume. And so what they want us to do is update our watershed plans and our hydraulic model to incorporate a portion of this offsite area that would be directed into the basins as a result of, this proposed increase in elevation offsite. And so we're fully prepared to send them updated modeling and watershed plans showing that the basins can handle it's a very small amount of volume due to the fact that it is a grassed area. There's not much runoff from areas like that. It's not like a pavement where you're sending, 10,000 square feet of impervious surface into these basins. It's a very, very small volume of water, and Again, we'll provide supporting documentation showing that that volume can be accommodated in the basins and that it does not impact the rate or volume discharging into the lake.
My own thought is that I think we're going to want to hear from the engineering department that they agree with your thinking in response to these three questions they've raised before we can act to issue an approval of the activity.
I agree.
Sure, we have no issue with that.
Okay.
Again, we wouldn't be able to do any of this work without their final approval
Right.
anyway.
Okay.
And again, there are a couple other steps with the select board that we have to go through in order to implement any of this. So I think there's some time to for myself to provide supporting documentation to them. I will issue a formal response letter with that documentation for their review.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
at
and I
that
think,
point, it probably makes sense to then hear from them.
yeah,
Sorry, I was just curious, were you gonna do wetland plantings there? I thought that was part of the plan with the basins, or no?
Allison, do you want to touch on that?
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly what you had planned for this area offsite, whether we raise these grades or not.
Yeah, so what we're doing currently, there's, at some of the edge conditions between our property line and the town land. We're looking to put lawn there, so it's blending in those areas. We still want to kind of keep this in an open, usable space, kind of functioning like a park. So
so
what
the
we would-
berm would be grassed.
Correct. Yes.
Right. There was meadow there before. It was just mowed down recently for the last couple of years. I don't know if you saw, Paul, it was like goldenrod and some other things with a lot of birds in it.
The area, I mean, pre-construction, the area had been let go by the previous owner in terms of I think overall maintenance along
Mhm.
the lake there. But that area, I mean, it was, I mean, the volunteers that have popped up is mainly just because it wasn't managed like the town is looking for the applicant here to help manage this whole area along the lake and kind of keep this area as part of that public kind of park atmosphere along there.
Sure, that's fine. But I mean, in its neglect, it did have wildlife value and some beauty. I guess I was curious if you guys are doing, sorry, some plantings and things as part of that.
I mean,
Or on the,
we can look into
or
that.
on the other side, yeah.
There are some opportunities where we could create some pocket areas of more wild areas that are less usable, that we can kind of create these little habitat vignettes in the area that we can kind of blend with both. I think we can look at that as Nick looks at answering the DPW comments.
And I will say on our property where you see those contours where we have the slopes from, top to bottom of those basins, we are doing very wildlife habitat friendly planting there. So mix of rain garden, shrubs, perennials, etc. So there is still some of that beautification coming back to the area.
So that would be within the basins on your property.
Yes, it's the edge of
And
the basins.
The
yeah,
edge of
not
basins
exact.
on the bottom of the berm slopes
Mhm,
into the basins.
correct.
Okay.
So that's all we had for our presentation tonight.
Okay.
Happy to meet again once we've had a chance to respond to the engineering department.
I think
And
that would be
you've had a chance to
helpful.
speak with Bill and Tim.
Right, if you could send those same responses to us, then we can schedule some time to talk to Bill and Tim.
Certainly, yeah.
Or at least one of us can schedule at a time to talk to Bill and Tim. With a group of three, two of us constitute a quorum, and we'd be violating the public meetings law to have those conversations. This gets more challenging, but we'll find our way through.
Yep. Thank you guys very much for presenting.
Yeah, I think the materials you've given us have been quite helpful, so appreciate that.
Thank you so much for
Yeah,
your
no
time.
problem. Thank you for hearing us.
Okay, we'll look forward to seeing the responses to engineering and having some further discussion with them. And are you expecting to be wanting to come back at our next meeting, the first meeting in August, or later in the month? Any thoughts at this point?
I'll defer to Marissa, but Marissa, just so you're aware, I don't see any issue with us updating or providing that documentation in a formal response to them before then. So it's good on my end as long as you're good with coming back in August.
Okay, yeah, I think that's good on our end, as long as you're able to turn around the information, and the town, and obviously, Paul and the rest of you guys are able to review it. I think we're good to do August.
Well, we'll look for something from you shortly. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
Agenda. Close too many windows. So the next is the 9 Robert Street RDA. And that's scheduled for 8 o'clock. So it's Stephanie Loomis' request for determination of applicability. I don't see Stephanie or anyone.
We could look at the Foster's Lane letter, and then when 8 o'clock rolls around, we could go back.
Yeah,
to
let's do that. So Foster's Lane is the request to purchase the town-owned lot. And to their own property. And we've discussed this, and based on our discussions last meeting, Ethan drafted the letter that you see in front of you. Essentially recommends that the town retain ownership, place it under our care and custody to preserve it as wetlands and wildlife habitat, as well as to maintain its ability to serve as part of the 100-year floodplain in that area. So
Go on.
go ahead, Eleanor.
I was sorry, I'm trying to pull it up on my screen. I'm not sure what happened. But what I was going to say, there was one sentence about partial flood. I mean, when you look in the area, there's a, and this is where Elaine might be a little bit helpful, because she probably has a history, has some history with the area. But it does look like it was part of Reedy Meadow, and it's kind of a big flood storage area. And the sentence about, I mean, I would just say something like a substantial part of the property is in the 100-year flood plain, because the partial piece is a little confusing the way that's worded.
I think what it's saying there, and Elaine had actually wrote this letter, not myself,
Okay.
but I think saying partially located is typically gives a good description that part of it is located in the floodplain.
Okay.
So
Okay,
some of the
good.
property is not in the floodplain. But the
Yeah.
100-year floodplain is substantially larger than this property.
I don't know the size comparison, but yeah, part of it is not floodplain or wetland, and then part of it is.
Did you go there and visit?
Not recently, no.
Okay, just again, just going on the ground there, I thought it was very different. Like showed like it was more wet than I anticipated. Like the wetlands area was bigger, but I think you've captured that in the letter. I mean, that's where I find it helpful to go and visit, because sometimes, you know, these parcels look quite different in the flesh. I honestly, what I was also concerned about is that at some point it may have been filled in the past, and there might be debris, and that's what I was also curious if Elaine had any history on.
She didn't mention any fill from the past.
Okay.
Ellen, are you comfortable with the language as it's written to
It's
forward
okay.
that on to
Perfect
Sherry
is the
Dalton?
enemy of good. It's send it along.
Okay. Jennifer, anything to add?
No, it looks good to me.
Okay. Then I guess, do we need actually to vote on this one?
Yes, you do.
Okay. Then we'll need a motion to approve the language of this letter. And good to town administration.
I'll make a motion to approve the language in this letter regarding 0 Foster's Lane.
Okay. Second,
But
all in favor then, if there's no further discussion? Eleanor,
yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
and I vote yes. So this can go on to town administration in response to their request for comments. Thanks.
Ethan, can you just copy us when you send the letter?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, we're still not at 8 o'clock, so we probably should deal with the open space and recreation plan, at least initially. Ethan, you were going to present some edits, I believe.
Sure, I can go through the edits that I had made. So one of the things that we can do with this plan is extending it from a 7-year action plan to a 10-year. So that's a pretty simple change. Part of what you see here with the date was changing, mostly changing the dates throughout the plan to reflect the 10-year plan. So that's something that we could do if we'd like. I'd made those comments, I made the edits here just in case you wanted to do that, and you could see what it looks like if that's the case.
A question about that. So I guess this would be submitted to the town council with like a cover letter that would, kind of inform them that we're doing this. That's a question, I mean.
Yes, that would be part of, because we'd have to go back to present it to them anyway, so it's part of what we would discuss and bring up with them.
Okay.
Did you guys find out how easy it is to amend a plan? Once it's submitted?
I don't know the official process for that.
Judy, do you have any history with that?
The last time it was amended by the previous town planner, the only thing that had to be submitted, I believe, was what was being amended, just that section. You didn't have to resubmit the entire plan.
Did town council have to approve that, or was the commission able?
I don't know if they had to, but I think he probably went to them at the time.
Thanks.
Thank
That
you.
helps.
So I had added, I don't know if we talked about this last meeting or not, updating the rare species as was mentioned.
You had one more that was missing.
Which one was that?
Let me open up my give me a minute and I sent you them in my comments. And then are you able to fix the page numbering?
Yes, that'll be done once it goes to the consultant.
So this will go back to the consultant for cleanup.
Yes, to clean up and
And
just so
then
they have the
they'll
final
renumber.
copy, as
Mhm.
well as if they have to add anything to the maps too, they'll have to do that.
Hang on a second.
So Eleanor, you're saying there are 4 threatened or endangered.
Yes. Hang on,
Okay.
I put. Give me a second. The bog sedge.
Was this in the list of comments you had provided us?
Yeah, I thought it was. Let me see. I thought I typed out the name and the Latin name. Ah, okay, yes. So I said missing bog sedge from list, Carex exilis threatened.
Okay, let's go through those with the rest of your comments, and I think it'll be easier to keep it organized that way.
Okay, yeah, that's
after
fine.
this.
Yeah, I would just note that this one needs to have an ad.
Yeah.
So I added this part about the prickly. Oh, that's the wrong one. So that was above, I think. The whippoorwill.
Yeah, I think that one looked good.
Then there's a section about describing the whippoorwill, saying how it's not in Wakefield, but it's in the surrounding areas. So I deleted that part.
Right, because it's in Wakefield, or was.
Yeah. So we will be adding the Quantapowhat Parkway shore. We talked about it at the last meeting.
Mhm.
And this was another instance of turning it into a 10-year plan, if that's what you'd like to do. This is most of the extent of how that can be done.
Yeah, do you keep year one still 2024? Do you change it to 2025?
I think it would stay like this because that's when it had initially started.
Okay. It's 8 o'clock. We have to,
We should address the next matter, which is the Robert Street application then.
Sure.
Thanks, Ethan.
thank you.
So the next item on our agenda is 9 Robert Street. Stephanie Loomis has submitted a request for determination of applicability for the construction of a 450 square foot addition within 100 feet of a wetland resource area. I see Stephanie on the screen as an attendee now.
Hi, yes, I'm here, and also my architect, Carrie, is here as well.
Hello, Carrie.
How are you?
Good. And you?
Good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Okay. Do you want to talk? One of you want to talk to this request?
Happy to, unless you want to do an overview, Stephanie, whatever you prefer.
Nope, go
Probably
ahead,
would be
Carrie.
useful to get a sense of the site, and that
Okay. Are you okay if I share the survey?
certainly.
Okay, great. So this is the existing condition of the site. And we thought the issue we were dealing with was this 100-foot buffer zone. And so we thought we were asking permission to put an addition over here. I don't know if you can see my cursor. But then we got a memo from DPW on Friday that we need to stay 10 feet from this approximate location of the drain line.
Yes.
And so I think Stephanie would rather spend the money on her addition than moving a drain line. So we are
Yeah, that's not a terribly
adjusting.
satisfactory thing.
We're adjusting sort of the goal location for the addition. I have a draft that I know missed the deadline, so I'm happy to show you what might be possible. If you prefer I don't show it, I won't.
No, I think we're happy to take a look at what might be
Okay.
possible. I
Okay.
think we'd want to pass that on to engineering for their comments before we take
Of
any
course.
action on it.
Of course. So hang on, I have so many drawings of this. I'll share it with the survey. Is this the right one? Apologies. Here we go.
Okay,
All
no
right.
rush.
So thank you.
Ah,
So this is a narrow long addition. This kind of boring line through the O and wooden fence. That line, happy to draw
Is
it red if that's
10
helpful.
feet off the drain.
Yeah. I mean, it's the approximate location of the drain. I took the farthest edge of it and then I still gave 1'7" extra just to be sure. My concern with this is just roof lines, which I'm sure we can figure out. I just haven't yet figured it out. So
And
I think
you end up inside the 50-foot buffer, I think, as a result, right? Is that what I'm seeing? The dashed line there?
I think you're right. Yep. I think you're right. So I can pull this up in CAD and we can look at it if that doesn't make you nauseous. Okay.
As long as it doesn't move too fast, I think we'll all be fine.
Okay. Now I gotta figure out how to screen share again. I'm so sorry. Every time I use the software, I feel like it's a different screen share. I just want to share everything, but okay. So now we're in AutoCAD. So yeah, we end up then in the 50-foot. So I don't know what our options are really. How do we sort of get a sense of, and I also am curious.
You're trying to get a certain square footage for this, essentially a bedroom, a bathroom, and some
office and a laundry.
Office and laundry space as
Yeah,
well.
so
Okay,
we're look-
yeah,
We're looking at sort of aging in place goals here and,
well,
you know, which are really important. And I mean, I'm confused why there's a 20-foot wide easement and then a drain line not in the easement. I just think it's the craziest thing.
the 20, oh, the brook easement over to the right.
Yeah.
I could not help you with that.
There's
So it's
a
odd.
Is there a brook in that
The
brook
brook is
easement?
culverted and it discharges
Ah.
at the end of the property.
Okay,
And then I think we get
and then
close on our-
it doesn't flow into that drain line though. That's correct, Judy?
No, it discharges right into the wetland at the very back side of the property. Off.
To the top of the drawing as we look
Correct.
at it here.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
I see.
So, I mean, I think we can come a little, Stephanie was pretty thoughtful about wanting, you know, not to have an addition overwhelm the existing house and have the
Sure.
addition make sense with the house. So we were not trying to come too far forward. We're also going to have a setback issue, which I don't see marked on here. So we could, like, I just don't know, is it a different process to, you know, is staying out of the 50 critical?
Hard to say. I mean, we've authorized people to do things between 50 and 25. We're pretty hard and fast on 25.
Okay.
The way you've got it configured there, if you can live with that kind of layout, that would certainly not present us with an issue.
I'm not sure we meet the zoning requirements
Ah,
of the front setback. That's what I was just trying to check.
okay.
And I think, I mean, I can show a picture of the house too. It's, well, I say I can, but let's see if I actually can. So here's the,
So it would be to the right of the house as we look at it here.
yeah, and I think bringing that forward of that house, I mean, now we're into a tree. You know
That's
what I mean?
actually
I think-
a bit of an old picture. So the trees that are there are gone now. But yeah, that front corner is where all of the utilities come into the house. It's a little hard to see from that photo, but
Oh, here.
yeah, so from there they come into that front right corner as we were looking at it.
Okay.
It's probably on the survey. So let's go back to that survey.
It's near Crystal Lake. So behind them is the Crystal Lake water supply land. And there's a wetland.
So there's a wetland between
Uh,
on the property and then the town's property behind that.
the wetland itself does
don't think it
not
ever-
appear on the property, at least
Correct.
according to, it's
Yeah, that's correct.
it's on the town land behind it. And then
So it's only the wetland buffer that intrudes on the
Correct.
property.
yes, yes.
Okay.
And just to clarify, so that 50-foot buffer line is for the bordering vegetated wetland there.
Right.
It's not for Crystal Lake, it's for that wetland that's adjacent.
Yes.
to it. Okay,
That's correct.
Correct. And
Yeah,
there's
Crystal Lake is quite far.
okay.
okay.
You can't
Is
even
there-
see it.
And there's no river
The drain pipe, sometimes there's a little bit of a stream, depending on how much rain we've had from where the drain pipe kind of runs out, but it's very mild, very small.
Where it exits off your property?
Yes.
I see. Okay.
So I can share this if it's helpful. And I think we're talking about this property right here. So
Okay.
we're quite far.
Yeah.
So I think we're curious if we were to, work through the details of a roof line, on, and kind of work through how far forward we could come with zoning, and still kind of have it make sense with the house, which maybe we can get closer to that, to getting out of that 50-foot. What are our next steps? We resubmit the Form 1. I mean, the Form 1 wouldn't change, I guess. We resubmit the plan and elevations.
Ethan, I'm going to defer to you.
I was gonna
on that
ask you, but I think the two options are reviewing this RDA that we have now and then submitting a new one for the next meeting, or reviewing a new plan on this existing RDA. I think that would be up to the commission of what you want to do. I would recommend just voting on this RDA that we see and then submitting a new one for next time. But I
Okay.
think either way could be an option.
I am not able to join your next two meetings, unfortunately, so I don't know what that means. But yeah, we got that letter from DPW on Friday, and I think the submission cutoff was Thursday, so we missed this round. I don't know what expedites things, and I also don't know what the next step is. If, for example, this were to be approved, what happens next?
I think it would definitely have to come to another meeting. If you wanted to do this addition that we're looking at now, it would be another site visit and another review of plans.
Okay.
It just comes down to whether or not, or how you want to address it on the permitting side and how the commission wants to go forward with that.
And they're also going to have to go to zoning for approval there, or no?
That's part of the building permit usually.
Yeah,
Okay, just building permit. So be us and buildings department.
But
yeah.
would you need a zoning variance if you need the front setback?
I
You would
don't-
need a zoning variance if you need a front setback.
So usually that's a special permit, but I don't know that we would go that path just because of the added time and cost. I think the goal is to do this as of right, which is why we were so quick to move to redesign, to not have to pay for moving. Like, we're trying to have the funds go towards this addition, not towards moving drain lines or pursuing special permits.
Mhm.
I think we would try to do this as of right.
Carrie, do you have pictures just of the backyard, kind of current conditions by any chance?
I have a million pictures from that day, but I don't know if I took any of the backyard.
Like where you're gonna put that addition? Is it like, what's there now?
Do you want, I can show
Sure,
you on the screen if that's helpful.
yeah.
Let's see, turn on my video. Okay, all right.
Oh,
So
look at
I'm
that.
on my back deck here. Yes. So basically, okay. So this is the side of the house.
Mhm.
And then that was where we were going to, or where we're hoping to put the addition over there. So behind
Between where you're standing in the fence.
between where I'm standing and the yellow house over there. So out,
Right.
We're
you know,
looking
yeah,
at that
yeah.
side yard.
Mhm.
Yeah. So this is the side
Parallel
yard.
to the
So
fence with the lattice is that drain line.
yeah. So the front yard is that. Sorry, trying to get my fingers on the screen. The front yard is that direction. The backyard is that direction.
Mhm.
So the backyard looks like this. So I think it would go up to about where that tree is.
Okay,
Which
The tree
is
in the
fine.
planted bed. Okay.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
not that hard to take out. And then that's yeah, I can show you this. So that corner back there is where the drain line comes out.
okay.
So it basically runs down the fence line and exits there.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know how you guys feel. I don't see, if some of that encroached on the 50-foot line, it's the existing backyard. I don't see it altering anything. I wouldn't have an issue with it.
Just thinking exactly the same thing, Eleanor.
But I'm also not a fan of having to submit 2 applications or deal with feet. My personal opinion is design, for what the building inspector will allow. You you should make sure the building inspector is okay with your plan, and then you can come back to us. And then we make that part of the RDA that gets approved, right?
Interesting.
I don't know. I mean, is there something wrong with that process? It just seems odd to approve something if you're not sure the building inspector is going to permit it.
The thing that I was not sure about is how close it can get to the street. So what I showed, I'm sure of, because I already
Mhm.
did a variance check, because this is the same front location that
Mhm.
we had originally done. So I know that what I show we can do.
And there's no side yard issue.
We were already out of the side yard setback.
Okay.
We just weren't out of the recommended distance from the
Drain.
storm drain. So
Okay.
so if we were to start a conversation of moving closer to the street, that I would have to check the zoning on that.
Mhm.
And that would get flagged during the building permit. So I think we're not interested in pulling it to be the front of, I think, I'm going to speak for you, Stephanie, but I think you want the front of the house to be the furthest thing, like the front door to be the furthest thing forward, not the addition to be forward of that.
Yeah.
And I
So
think, Eleanor, you're saying pretty much the same thing, that the addition go forward to the front of the house, and being built in this already developed backyard is not something you're seeing an issue with, or am I misinterpreting what you just said?
I think the plan that they presented us, where a little bit of it is encroaching on that 50-foot buffer, I personally don't have an issue with, because it's the existing yard.
Mhm.
I think the only thing I might be concerned about would be roof runoff. You know, if there was a lot going to that area, you know, at the back that then drains into the wetland. But I think the 10-foot setback, there's probably ways around that, and that, you know.
Mhm. Just as a perspective, my next door neighbor's house goes like much further back than
Yeah.
what we're proposing.
Mhm.
So you can see it there.
Yeah.
So I have a question about this kind of process, which is a request for determination of applicability really necessary when it's, because I mean, I think if it's within the 100-foot buffer, it will require an NOI, right? And it pretty clearly is within the 100-foot buffer. I guess I'm just trying to understand that step.
It would be an NOI if you sort of had suspicion that it could impact the wetlands.
Oh, I see. Okay. And that would be something that would be based in large part on your inspection of the site, right, Ethan? And would also similarly then be dependent on what plan is submitted. Like your inspection would vary depending on whether they showed you one plan versus a different.
Yeah, it would be my site visit as well as what we see in the meetings with the
Mhm.
plans.
Mm-hmm.
I think the plan we see here would definitely have to be a separate review coming back to us. So I don't think we can decide on this one tonight.
Since it wasn't submitted to us
No.
with an application.
I guess what I want to avoid, I don't know, duplicate fees or something. I guess that was my main concern.
thank you.
Yeah.
So I don't know how Ethan, this is the part, I don't know how that works, but that's what I would want to avoid.
With zoning hearings, they continue, and I don't know if that's
Right.
something you do, but
I think
No, we
for
would,
us,
go
the
ahead.
the best option would be having these as two separate RDAs, but I know that would have an additional fee that would be good to avoid.
The only fee is the legal notice. There's no fee with the RDA, no state fee.
would we have to renotice?
Yes. If it's a different plan, I would think, I mean, that's up to the commission.
If it's a different RDA, I think it would definitely need a new notice.
Why can't they, can they amend the existing RDA?
Usually you don't amend an RDA because you're reviewing something and saying yes or no. So I don't know how often we see amendments to these.
Judy, what's been your experience in the past where, DPW came back and said, we need a plan change, during the RDA process?
I don't really remember any off the top of my head where they had changes under an
Mhm.
RDA that would come back.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, and I wouldn't expect that you can amend an RDA. So
Maybe we should research this and get back to the applicant.
So I think on our end, we're gonna finalize these plans, make
Okay.
sure everything meets, the goals of Stephanie and the requirements for zoning and building permits. And then we're gonna deliver this one way or the other to you guys. And then we're either gonna pay again to notice again or not. I think I need to know if I need to be at the next meeting, because then I would I think needed to be that September one. And then I just think for Stephanie's sanity, it'd be really helpful to know. So if, for example, the next one were to be approved at a meeting like this, does that open the gate and then we are then eligible to apply for a building permit? Or how does that next step work if it were to be approved?
If we're the only approval that you need other than the building permit, I think once we act on it, Ethan, correct me if I'm mistaken here, but I believe once we act on it and approve it, your next step is to go to the buildings department with your application for the building permit.
Great. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that because of what it's called, the application for like whether
Well, you're asking us to determine whether the Wetland Protection Act is applicable here
Yes.
with RDA. There is an alternative step, which is to simply assume it's applicable and file a notice of intent. And
So
then we act,
sorry.
and then we would act on that. And there would be no two-step involved.
So we're actually hoping that you say no to us. That's the goal here. Is that right? We're hoping we show you this.
That there's no, that the Wetland Protection Act is not applicable to this addition, which is somewhat larger, looks like somewhat larger than 450 square feet, although I could be misreading now.
It's actually smaller. So I just did
Is it? Okay.
our call started. So it's 11,
I
10,
see.
11. It's 11.4. I'm kind of using that wall. So it's either 11.4
Yep.
or 11.10 by 36.10. So it's right
Okay.
around 400 square feet.
Right.
I mean, the whole house is 1,000 and it's on 2 stories. So
Yeah.
because, the scale is,
Compact.
Yes,
yeah,
it's
it looks-
quite small. Yeah. I don't know. And I'm not sure if it matters like what my goal here is, but it's kind of two pronged where I have, as Carrie said, aging parents. I have a father with Parkinson's. So we're doing things like making sure the doorways are wide enough that he could fit through with a wheelchair if he ends up with that. And I'm also looking into adopting from foster care as well. So currently I have a bedroom, my bedroom, and I have a second bedroom that I've been using as my office. But the goal is to have a bedroom on the first floor that my parents can access, and then to move my office down to the first floor and have that bedroom on the second floor be for a child. So this isn't just a like, oh, I feel like having more space. This is important for two kind of very big family things here. So just to give some context for what we're trying to do here.
Appreciate that information. Thank you. Jennifer, sorry.
I was gonna say, so, Eleanor, to your question about the roof runoff, you said that that was an issue you were most likely to be concerned about. Is that something that could be addressed in a letter from Carrie, say, if you guys were kind of anxious to, get on the agenda again as soon as possible? Is that a question you think could be?
How's the roof going to be pitched here? I mean, what
Well,
are you?
That's a pickle that I'm trying to work with. So right now, the end of that, there's a gable end, and we had been able to do
You were just going to carry that on out over the.
Yeah, it was a smaller gable that tucked up under, and we could still have some windows on the main house on the second floor. With this, I mean, I want to look at drawing these elevations. I suspect a shed roof is going to be the easiest, and so it would be shedding along the this
To the
outside
right.
edge. Yep. So it would have a lot of opportunity to spread out across that long edge there. As opposed to if we like drained it all to off the short end.
Right.
I don't know that we can really do a gabled roof at the front because then we would drain into the house. So, but I mean, a shed roof is a particular look. So Stephanie and I are going to have to look into that more carefully. But my gut is that it's going to make the most sense to drain towards this red line.
Yeah.
I know with the stormwater runoff, the trigger is like 5,500 square feet when we need to have a storm management plan. So we're under that, but I don't know if your concern is separate from that in terms of runoff.
I mean, I'm relatively new, so bear with us, Carrie, because we just lost our, long-term member. So I would imagine this is pretty small, impact. I mean, honestly, that's the only direct sort of impact I could perceive from this plan where it could impact the resource area if you had torrents of new volumes of water, going to the wetland. I think if that doesn't happen, then I don't see anything else.
It wouldn't necessarily be new volumes of water, right? Because if that wasn't there, that water gets to the ground. It's just that you're losing the recharge of that area, but there's not actually additional water. So I totally understand the concern that we don't want to create a problem that we don't already have. And I'm happy to help provide numbers or research or whatever would be useful. I'm not sure I know what that is though.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Eleanor. You want to?
No. Go on. You.
Well, what I was thinking was, I think a resubmittal that has the plan as you finally decide you want to make it would make sense. Engineering is asking for the 10-foot offset from their drain line. So I think we have to respect that. I don't think we would have a big issue with the small intrusion into the 50-foot buffer. You're still well off the 25-foot level. Where we start to get really fussy.
Yeah.
So that would be my suggestion would be deal with your setbacks and stay out of engineering's hair and come back to us with what you think this is actually going to end up as, and give us an indication of where the water is going to go. If it's going to come off a shed to the right of the building, that's clear enough. And give us an idea of the volumes we'd be talking about. It looks like it would be pretty much overland sheet flow at, I don't see grades here, but looking at that those yard pictures that Stephanie showed, it's pretty level.
It's
Yeah.
really hard to see
Yeah.
them. They're generally 204.
Oh, okay, 204,
Yeah.
so it's really not going to move very fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite flat back here.
Okay. So
Yeah.
but my own take is it doesn't look like it should be a big deal. I just think given that you're having to shift things, you're going to have to come back to us with with a revised application.
Yeah. Well, I guess what I'm looking at in terms of process is it says under the Wetlands Protection Act, there's no application fee for the request for determination of applicability.
Mhm.
It would just be, I guess, the local posting requirement.
Yep.
I think you could definitely do it just as the same RDA with new information.
Okay.
That's definitely an option.
So that Stephanie and her team would resubmit under the existing RDA application and present a new plan
Yes.
with new backup data and analysis to go with it.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Is that-
as to, I think the question about whether Carrie needs to be at the next meeting, I wouldn't necessarily think so, because it's not an extremely complex plan.
Okay,
No,
great. Is that okay with
Okay.
you, Stephanie?
Yeah, that's fine. I can make it work.
Yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
You're a good videographer. Like in the field, showing.
Showing us what your yard looks like from
Oh, sorry.
a
Yeah.
handheld camera.
That's why virtual meetings are great,
Yeah.
We're all in the same room.
It
and do
is.
it.
Honestly, they make it much easier to get a lot done.
Mhm. Mhm.
So,
Thank you so
For
much
sure.
for your time.
okay,
Yeah.
thank you for coming in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Okay, we'll see you next time.
Okay.
Right. Bye.
8:33. Okay, so we have one more item, which is Main, Salem and Lowell Street, Town of Wakefield. Another RDA for the reconstruction of an 8-inch water main and associated appurtenances within 100 feet of a wetland resource area. Ethan, was this yours? Oh, this is Carrie's screen. I think Carrie's going to have to stop sharing.
You can just hit gallery view.
There, we're good now. We're good. Okay. So, Nathan, are you speaking for the town?
Yes, I am.
The engineering
Can you guys see me
department?
okay?
Yes. Yep.
And then my screen isn't showing up. So can you guys see me or at all or no?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can
I
see
can
you.
see you.
Yeah, you're part of the 7 people on the screen right now.
Interesting. I don't see myself. I have myself on gallery view and I just see the 4 of you. So
There's
Interesting.
Yeah, there's
Well,
7.
that's peculiar.
oh well, this might be a little odd, but let me here to see if I can share screen.
Okay.
It's all right. All right, you guys will see
Yep.
that?
That worked.
Perfect. All right. So let me know if I can just get started.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, so this we're looking for an RDA on our water main project that we're doing near Lake Quannapowitt. So the scope of the work is going to be replacing the water main from Lowell Street all the way to Salem Street. So the whole kind of section of Main Street along the lake. On these
That's
plans-
running down north-south, more or less north-south down the east side of the lake.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
So on these plans, didn't kind of copy it very well. It's a little hard to see, but the red line is the wetland buffer, 100-foot And this blue line down here is the water level of Lake Quantapowhat when we had this area surveyed in 2019.
The blue line in the lower drawing or the
Yes,
upper
so
drawing?
it's here on some of these other
Oh, I
drawings.
see it on the right-hand side,
Yeah,
the
so
the lake shoreline.
Yeah, some of these
Okay.
views, you'll see it like right along the edge. But some of these other views, you might see it like just like in the corner as we kind of like round the curves of the lake. It was pretty not difficult, but I had to have a lot of different views to get the shape of the road going the whole way around.
Now, are you cutting the street to install or to replace the water main then?
Yes, so we will be trenching in a new trench for a majority of the street. We'll be putting in a new 8-inch water main. Any of the material that's dug out will be placed into dump trucks and then used to backfill the trenches. It's pretty standard for when we do any utility project. And then
And then you'll repave over the trench.
yes, so kind of how we do it is at the end of day. At the end of each workday, we'll backfill with the material, and then they'll usually put like a road plate over it. And then at the end of the week, we'll have them pave whatever they've done for that week. So we try not to have road plates out over the weekend, but you may have them throughout the week while they're working.
Okay.
And part of this, along with the water main, we'll be doing all of the water services up to the property line. So we'll be digging across.
So that's these short black lines
Yes.
going up.
So
Okay.
this dark one going down the middle is going to be the water line or the water main. And then these we'll be doing the tie-ins to each street. So we'll be tying into each existing street. And then these other smaller ones are going to be the water services to the houses. We'll be
Okay.
replacing all of the hydrants along that run as well. And those are kind of seen here with this little circle here.
So those are all on the side of the
Yes,
street away
so
from the lake?
all of the hydrants and services are on the other side of the road opposite the lake, except for one. There's one fire hydrant that is near that water fountain up at the top of the lake. And
Oh, okay.
that is the only hydrant that we're proposing to put some straw wattles around, because most of our work is just going to be maintained within the street or on the opposite side of the street away from the lake. So, and everywhere else along the street, we'll be proposing catch basins, well, silt sacks in all the catch basins, just to ensure that if there is any, runoff from the construction, is that it's going to get captured in those.
So all this work is in the street itself?
Yes, so the only time that we'll
Okay.
be leaving the street is to do these little bits. Oh, sorry. It's kind of hard to zoom on my laptop.
Oh.
The only time we'll be leaving the street, you can see here, this is the curb line.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be going in like 2 or 3 feet to be replacing these water service boxes. These boxes are typically found within that grass strip, or they may be found within the sidewalk. So all of this work will be done within town property, within the right of way. And I would say about 90% of the work is contained actually within the curb line of the street. The only time we're exiting the curb is to do these little tie-ins to the house.
Okay.
When you exit the curb, except for that one hydrant, it's all going away from the lake.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Everything. So I can kind of quickly scroll through the plans. They're a little repetitive, but you can see everything goes to the opposite side, because that's where all of the houses are. So all of the fire hydrants, all of the water services are on that side of the street.
How old are these lines you're replacing?
The last update that I could see for it was in 2013. They did some sections of it. A lot of these gates, a lot of these like tie-ins for the streets here were done recently, if the side streets were done. But as for the water main on Main Street itself, I don't have like an estimate. I don't think it's been touched since it's been originally installed. Or if it has been, it's been well over 10, 15 years. So we had a consultant come in, I believe it was last year, that looked at all of our water mains around town, and they gave them all of a rating. And this one was one of the ones that they had, put on the higher priority list. So I know that we've had our water department fix at least 4 water main breaks on this in the time that I've been here, and so that's only been about 3.5 years.
Okay.
So one water break a year is kind of a lot, even though it's a long section. That's still a lot. So that's kind of a key indicator that we need to do this replacement.
Mhm. And this will come down to, does it continue further south from
No,
that
so
match line?
once we
okay.
get to Salem Street,
You
right
get down
here,
to Salem Street.
Yeah.
Okay,
and then this section is outside of the wetland buffer, but I mean, it's all the same project, so
right.
we're gonna include it all. But yeah, we'll be
see.
tying into the Salem Street water main, and then we won't be going any further down that way.
Okay, yeah, and I see where you cross the wetland buffer, which is
Yep.
just north of Lawrence Street.
Yep, and then they say you can see the little edge of the lake here once
Yep.
it starts, kind of getting closer to the lower common.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. My own take is that this is not one we need to go beyond the RDA stage, because I don't see a reason to require anything further. But I'd like my colleagues to speak about their thoughts.
So I think your application cited the exceptions, which I did look at before the meeting, and it does seem to fall within the exceptions. That was my impression.
Question for me?
Well, I think more so the commission.
Gotcha.
And which exceptions are you seeing it as fitting, Jennifer?
Well, they're listed in the application. Exceptions for public utilities. Let's see. CMR 10.02 2A2, 10.02 2B2.
From my understanding, those 2 exceptions were, one of them was relating to replacement of utility services and or utility mains, whether that's water, drain, electric, within the roadway. And then the other one was cited for things outside the roadway. It was for anything related to water mains, which would be like considered like a water service or a fire hydrant. So those ones are technically outside of the curb line, but then they still fall under the category of being related to the utility project.
Seems like you meet the exception for the utility project.
Mhm.
So especially since we're talking about an in-kind, in-place replacement. You're taking out the old line and replacing it with this line.
So it is only going to be in kind for a certain section of it. So from Walden Road, about halfway up right here is when it's becoming in kind. So
Okay.
after this plan is just slightly inaccurate after speaking with the water department for our existing conditions. So the way we had it surveyed was that it crosses over here, but actually within talking with the water department, it starts to cross over closer to Walden Road. So wherever that crossing point is, we'll start to replace it in kind there. The old water main will stay. We'll be capping it on either end, cutting it and capping it either end, and then abandoning it. Part of the reason why we're choosing to move it is that there's a gas main almost directly on top of the water main. So we want to try to avoid digging around that if we possibly can.
So you'll be offsetting it to the east from the water main,
Yes.
or?
So let's see, I can zoom in here. Right here, this I don't know if you can see my cursor. This
Yep.
light gray line is the approximate location of the existing water main, and you can see how the gas main is right on
It
top
is
of it.
immediately adjacent, yes.
Yes. So we're looking to put it in this corridor to, it's gonna be to the west if you're going up
Yep.
north of Main Street. So it's gonna be putting it
Right.
closer to the lake. But this corridor
But-
has pretty much nothing in it except for a couple drain lines that we'll just make sure to, either go above or under when we cross them.
And you're still within the paved area of
Yes,
the
yeah.
street and
We'll
inside the
be-
curb line.
I took the pavement markings off of this plan because it was a little bit jumbled. But if you're going down Main Street, the water main will be pretty much on that solid white line that delineates where people can park and where the travel lane is.
Okay.
So it's a good 7-8 feet still from the actual curb line.
And the area that you showed by the hydrant, which is gonna, I think, require some additional, yeah, the wattles, that is part of the in-kind section.
Yes, so I'm having trouble. The mouse pad, it's hard for me to navigate on this laptop, but yeah, so this here is all gonna be replaced in kind. So the old main is gonna be going. We'll be replacing this hydrant lateral. This is where that water fountain is. They actually did work on this. I think they said like 4 or 5 years ago. So we'll only be replacing a small section of this service for the water fountain, just because the rest of this pipe is pretty new. So yeah, and then we'll be proposing the straw wattle just kind of going around that grassy area, because like I said, this is the one spot that we are doing work that's not on the other side of the street.
And you're not cutting down any trees for the work?
No, and I say this is the only thing that we'll be taking up is, like I said, maybe some little bits of grass here, and that'll all just be, restored once we're done. And then anywhere that we do have to replace one of these curb stops in the sidewalk, that piece of sidewalk will be replaced in kind as well.
Nathan, that sidewalk, that's all, is the plan to replace cement with cement sidewalk?
Yes, so if there's asphalt, it'll be replaced with asphalt. If there's cement, it'll be replaced with cement. Typically, what they do is that the paving contractor will do it all in asphalt. So if there's a cement, they'll do an asphalt patch temporarily, and then they'll sometimes just come back and do concrete all at once. That way it's just easier for them to not have to do 1 or 2 concrete panels a day. They'll get almost all the concrete panels done at once, but they'll do a temporary asphalt patching in that sidewalk. Just so that's passable and walkable until they can get enough
A
squares
critical
of
mass of
they can-
concrete.
Yeah,
Okay.
because it's not worth their time or money to get a
Right.
truck just to do one little square.
Fair enough. Any other questions or concerns?
And so Nathan, so that asphalt, that's not going to end up in drainage systems. And the reason I ask is because my street gets repaired a lot and there's always a lot of debris afterward, asphalt.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
typically for our utility main constructions, what we have them do is that when they excavate material, the asphalt has to be separated from the actual sub-material underneath of it, because it gets disposed of differently. So what they do is they usually have one pickup truck or a dump truck that they put all the asphalt into, and that gets shipped off and dumped where they choose to dump it. And then the sub-grade material that is used to backfill the trench, they dig up, put into another dump truck. But then at the end of the day, they just dump that dump truck back out into the trench to reuse the same material to refill it. Unless the material is super rocky and it has a bunch of stuff in it that we don't want back in our trench, then we'll make them go get clean material, which is usually a mixture of crushed stone or just compacted fill, pretty standard for any utility trench, but more often than not, the material that they dig out, they just put right back.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't
Is
have,
there, go ahead.
no, I don't have any more comments or concerns.
So am I reading the sense that we can issue a negative determination of applicability here?
I
Yes.
think so. Mhm.
Okay. We could have a motion for that. I'd appreciate that.
Make a motion to issue a negative determination of applicability
And
for
a
this
second?
project. Yeah.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor? Eleanor,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Thank you, Nathan.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you guys very much.
You guys are all
Thank
set.
you.
Awesome. You guys have a good night.
You too. Thanks. So that finishes the regular agenda. I think we're back to the open space and recreation plan.
I just wanted to ask, sorry, a question on 9 Roberts Street. Because I almost felt like we didn't close the loop on that. I think it sounded like we're leaning towards a negative determination of applicability, but we want to see an updated
Exactly.
plan. Okay,
That's where I am, I think,
yeah,
but I want to see the plan. Given that they're making the changes, we need to
Right.
see the plan and act on what's actually being proposed rather than what was proposed and has been changed.
correct.
Okay. So we were walking through the edits.
Yep.
Okay, let's move on through those then.
So this one, it looks like we added town forests to
Right.
as part of the action plan. And then there's down here, another mention of the town forest.
My only comment was acquire. We already have it. I think Elaine had wording for it. Because it's tax title, there's town meeting to, the intent is to, make it for town, like was for town recreation purposes. We just never went through the exercise of formalizing that, right? So, Judy, I don't know what the technical term is for that.
You could say, do you want to put transfer to the care and custody of the commission there?
I feel like Elaine told us we couldn't, that it was recreation, like it was Article 99 in recreation.
I don't know. I would think town council can. I don't know how set in stone that stuff is. If it was never acted on, if they'd have to.
Well, we would
Yeah, I don't know how
be,
town council would address it now.
yeah, I mean, we would have to take it to town council. I guess I
Right.
would say formalize protections for town forest, and maybe that's a better way.
That might be formalized protections to
Town forest in
the town
perpetuity.
forest in perpetuity.
Yeah.
that should work.
This one, we had been asked to remove this resident's name, so I just removed a couple mentions of that. And I just said resident there.
She did, I guess, bring up an issue, which I'm not sure what the answer is there. If there's any like this was a public forum, right? Typically, when you're using people's first name and last name, and you're submitting it and it's going to be out in the permanent record or submitted to an agency, you have to, at least in the private sector, sort of make clear how you're going to use that information. I don't know if I've seen us submit surveys like this and kind of transmit people's first name, last name in general. Like, did you guys check with Tom Mullen on that?
I'm not aware of how it was done when it was first made.
But like, I guess one public forum, we just used first names. And then this one, we used first and last name. So I think I don't know that I saw other plans where other towns did that. I think, there might be some privacy issues there. Like if you're not letting, I realize it's a public forum, but if you're
Right, and
not,
the video is public.
The
I mean, that's
video's-
publicly viewed. I mean, then you can just take the names out and just put, bubbles like these are the comments.
yeah. Okay. I mean, we have Jennifer.
Well, I think it's the way people, if they didn't give.
Okay, when they logged in.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So you can just take the names out.
I mean, I think first names are fine. I just don't know if it's an issue. I'm not trying to be like a jerk. It's something that's an issue in the professional world. I just don't know if it extends to municipal.
Right, but I think
Settings.
it just makes it easier, just take the names out altogether.
Okay.
Then it doesn't create something down the road if someone has
Yeah.
a recognizable name or whatever.
Yeah. I think I did see along here. I don't know if you got that, Ethan. I think that my audio was bad during the hearing, but I was saying the Mill River, and I think in the survey it said the L River or something. I think that was a typo.
Yeah, I see that here.
Yeah.
I'll take a
That's
look at
not
that.
L River, like a new river.
I'll look at that when I fix the names. I'll make sure that's something I can change. Or
Okay.
see if it's based on another transcript.
No, that was me. That was my comment. I said Mill River, but I think
Yeah.
what they heard, was L River.
I'll just double check that before I change it, but I'll change it if I can.
I think
Yeah,
you-
I see that point.
Like I don't know if we're allowed to change the words that are provided here, or if it was
It's-
based on another
It's my
submission.
words. It's my words. I
Sounds
re-listened
like the
to the video.
transcript was in error, actually.
Yes, the
I'll just
transcript
double
was-
check before I do it just to be safe.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Here I added a definition for Article 97.
I think that's pretty clear and clean.
Yep. And this is just from the state's website, so I think that covers what we were looking for.
Yeah. Looks fine to me. Any other comments on that? Okay, we can go on it, Ethan.
Yep. So this one we talked about how many parcels these were. So
Mhm.
it was, I confirmed it was 2 parcels, and then I believe I updated the protection to remove the limited part of that.
Okay,
You can see it there.
so it's no longer limited perpetuity.
It's just in perpetuity.
Okay. Okay, and then below the same thing in Belanger Park.
Yes, that's what I was looking for. Yeah, so that's just in perpetuity now.
Mhm.
Yep.
Okay,
And that was the last change I had.
On the protections.
Yeah, I didn't have any more marked down. Well, we did talk about the NEMT owner here, but I confirmed that that was correct. Where it says the district. That's just how they have it organized.
Mhm.
And that's the last that I had on this. Eleanor, do you want to go through your comments you had, and we can go through those?
Sure. If you give me 1 second.
Yep. I think as we go through those, we can sort of say yes or no to each of them, and then for next meeting, we can add those officially. We just want to go
Okay. Yeah,
each
sure.
one at a time.
So I did, I guess, one of the questions that came up the last meeting was, Foster's Lane was listed as conservation in the plan. Even though it's tax title. And what I understood was it's because it was in the plan to conserve it. I guess my question was why we didn't have town forest, like why we weren't treating that the same way.
you mean the same way?
Well, in other words, we have essentially 2 parcels that are tax title. One in the plan you're have listed in the sheet as conservation, the other you have as not protected. Like, why wouldn't we be consistent? You know what I mean? If we want to protect something, then
Because town forest was part of the Emerald Necklace Conservation Area. That was all that 100-acre
So it's-
parcel that Rebecca had talked about.
So it already is. part of
It's
the
Pardon me?
no,
area?
no, it's tax title.
It's
but
tax
the-
title, but
Okay.
what? I'm not sure I understand then.
I see. So I have to go back and look at the way she had organized the Emerald Necklace. It's multiple parcels, including town forest.
Okay,
Okay, that wasn't clear to me in the plan itself. So, okay. So sorry, Ethan, can you just go back to your grid for a second?
Sure.
Oh, wait, I have it.
Which one's that again?
Um. It would be Emerald Necklace. Sorry, I'm trying to open it on my end, but it's so slow.
There we go.
Okay. Do we make clear in the plan that the Emerald Necklace, that includes town forest? Or describe that in more detail?
The,
Parcel number is it?
so that's 42. At least on this map, it's 42.
42, okay, so let's go back down to look at the map.
Okay.
So it looks like it's multiple parcels.
Well, it says 42. And then which one is town forest?
That would be 53 right here.
Okay, so I was interpreting that as different like completely different parcels in the plan.
So there's also a 42 below that as well. What is 53?
The
Town forest.
Yeah, 42 stretches a lot of this pink
Mm-hmm.
area.
It doesn't seem like it's included. I'm looking at the one of the descriptions under section 4, page 139. It says there's no parking at the Emerald Necklace, which there is at Town Forest. Section 4.
I don't know if I'm in the right section.
Yeah, I'm on
Page
page 139.
139.
139.
139. Is it this one?
Trail access via Salisbury Road, Holland Road, GT Road, but not Maple Way.
So Jennifer, what are you saying, that there is parking at the town forest site, or would you agree with the comment that the parking at Brown Park is the?
Well, I think I thought we were talking about does the OSRP include town forest under Emerald Necklace, and it doesn't seem like it does.
Oh, I see. Okay. Misunderstanding your question.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about town forest different than the Emerald Necklace. Like when we talk about forest section, we talk about it like it's different parcels. And in the wildlife corridors. You know, so that kind of goes back to my question, why are we, you know, why are we not showing that as having conservation interest, or like we're treating it, we're saying it's high value, yet we're treating it differently. And it does
The town
not,
forest.
the town forest, and it does not, at least as the plan is written, does not seem to be part of Emerald Necklace.
How many acres is town forest?
I want to say it's about 44, 40, like
So that would be in addition to the 100 here for Emerald Necklace.
I mean, I can 45.23.
Okay. Good.
But yeah, we have.
Yep. So that's separate and distinct from the Emerald Necklace Conservation.
Area.
Yeah.
I guess they're both tax title. Yeah, I guess I'm just curious why we're treating them differently. That's
Well, it appears we've got the town forest listed under town-owned parks and playgrounds.
Mhm.
And can we just go up to look at Emerald Necklace and where that falls in? Lands of conservation interest.
Well, I would say town forest is also a land of conservation interest.
Okay, well, I mean, we don't necessarily need to count it in both, though, do we?
No, no. I guess in our inventory, though, we don't note that it's protected or conservation interest. So someone would come along and say, "Oh, great, let's put up, you know, low-income house, whatever, affordable housing there. We need a place to build."
It looks like here it mentions that the remaining acres are under the title examination, and that's why it wasn't included in the conservation lands at the time.
Except we don't list in this plan that it's under review. Like it's not one of the areas starred.
So are you saying maybe take it from this table and put it in the conservation lands table?
I mean, I guess you could keep it there, but would you put this
You treat it as a park or as a land of conservation interest?
I mean, I thought we had it as both. In that, like this is where I'm a little unclear at how the inventorying was done and what the decision was, and maybe Elaine has a perspective on this.
I assume all of these parks would be of conservation interest. It just comes down to whether or not, or what you prefer to categorize it at.
Well, I think of the two, town forest is ACEC and has unique areas in Wakefield, like unique habitats that you don't find necessarily in other parts that are worth,
Okay.
protections.
So you think it shouldn't be in parks and playgrounds, but rather be in lands of conservation interest?
I personally do. But again, I think that's where Elaine has done the review, and that's where I think that direction we want to make sure is consistent in the open space plan and not.
Have you seen Elaine's review?
No, I keep asking her to send it.
This is tied back to the letter from last November, isn't it? To ask the town council to transfer it to the care and custody of the commission?
Yeah, we never saw that letter.
I don't think she ever sent it, that's why. I don't know why.
I think her feeling was complete the plan first.
Right, but is that what the commission decided, or that was Elaine's thought on it?
I think that was Jimmy who asked her to hold off on it. That was my understanding. But I asked her if she could share her, research or what she was planning to to share, you know, what she had planned for the council, to share that with us so we could see it. I mean, we're kind of working blind here. So why don't we
Okay,
pause?
first question, I think for me is the town forest currently deemed a town-owned park or playground?
It's on every map as town forest.
But which category does it fit in? If it doesn't fit here, then it should move up to the lands of conservation interest.
I would say it's a land of conservation interest. Because you want to keep it in its most natural state.
And I would agree with you there.
Yep.
So why don't we just shift it to
Yeah, that table 5-1, shift it there.
I believe that's the table.
Yep. Okay, I'll do that.
Okay. Oh, I didn't send you the Gertrude Spalding slides. We can come back to that, I guess. Or if you want me to pull up my screen, I can show you what I'm talking about and send you more details.
Sure, you can pull
Um,
up if you have it.
Yeah, so just through, I guess my concern is throughout the plan, we talk about the playground at Gertrude Spalding. And the parcel that the playground is on is a different one. Give me 1 second. I'll pull it up. Just move. So do I need to make that bigger?
A little bit.
Let's see. So,
Okay.
so this is the head of the lake, right?
Yeah.
The black dots are article, you know, designating Article 97 according to Mass Mapper. Sorry, it's a screen grab. So I'm going to zoom in. 147 Lowell Street is the parcel that was acquired by eminent domain. And that became Gertrude Spalding Park. So this is the part that has like the passive sort of walking trail. And then there's a little like sort of passive area closer to the water that's more like gravel. But the playground is here. So when we keep, in the plan, we keep talking about the play, you know, that Gertrude Spalding has a playground. And my only concern with that is based on the deed I saw, and I can forward this to the committee, it seemed like this was acquired through land grant and it's restricted to passive recreation only. So I don't think, you know, my concern with an open space plan saying that there's a playground there is someone would come along and say, oh, well, we can create a new splash pad, or we can create an, you know, put
It
something
would
there
seem
that's
like
not
there's,
allowed.
then the simple solution might be to simply say the playground adjacent to Gertrude Spalding.
Yeah. But I think it's even in the accessibility review. And so I believe this is Colonel Connolly, and then this is Zero Quantapowhat, that is the long, skinny, piece that goes along the water here. But I could send this to you Ethan, if that's helpful.
Mm.
And if you know.
Well, I mean,
guys-
if that area of playground has a name as Colonel Connolly, then we should just rename it in the document here.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at give me 1 second to look at the assessor's database. To the side. It gets really tough when all these properties are so close together and they either have a 0 or no number.
Hmm.
I'm gonna stop sharing.
Okay.
I can forward that.
And it seems like the answer is we have 3 contiguous parcels there. One of them is named Gertrude Spalding, one of them is named Colonel Connolly, and one of them has no name.
Yeah, yes,
Okay,
yeah. Okay. Back.
seems like the consultant may need to correct the text slightly, Ethan. Or you, and then the consultant implements it.
When you send that along, can you note exactly where that is in the plan, Eleanor?
Yeah, I can update my comments and send that.
Okay.
Okay. Do we want to just go through the edits? I mean, I had issues.
Well- That seems like the most straightforward way to do it.
Yeah, let's just go through the edits first. Ballister Road, which is the Pocket Park, 16 Ballister Road, that was the Wakefield Light and Gas deal. So I sent along like the language from the warrant article, but it's Burns Park, and I think that was all finalized in 2023. So I thought that should go in it. That's going to be, I think that's going to be in Article 97. Yeah. Recorded restriction placing the land under the protection of Article 97. So that's still missing from the inventory. Then Butler Ave, 94 Butler Avenue. I think we're calling it Gumwood Butler Ave. And I think it's 2 completely different parcels. You know, so Ethan, I was hoping you could look at that, or I could show you the 2 different areas on Mass Mapper.
I think on that one we could add 94 Butler to the action plan map because there's only a small portion of that that was going to be conservation.
Yeah.
It could be a good middle ground there.
Okay. Yeah, actually that makes sense. Okay. What's that?
I'd say let's keep going then.
Yeah, let's keep going. Oh yeah, I did a picture of the Butler app. Okay, to show. Let's see. Edits.
Ballister is noted in the plan under public, new public spaces.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it said it was planned, so that can be updated.
Okay. That's fine. I guess I was thinking of it more like, oh, it's still open space today, even if it's contaminated, but we're going to develop it. So I had a comment about the table of contents page numbering, the repeating. The accessibility appendix, Ethan, you and I talked about, I think somehow the formatting got corrupted or whatever. So some of the tables that maybe fit on 1 or 2 pages are now like spread across 10. So I think that's what's increasing the page length so much.
Okay.
And that my suggestion was, since there were no changes, was just to kind of import the original appendix that was there. It is a little weird though, like when all the numbers kind of repeat at each new section. So it's just something to think about. It makes it hard to jump to it. Let's see. Last paragraph. Other significant land cover categories are deciduous forest. Okay, I mean, I don't know how much you can do there. I was looking at the environmental justice area, map 3.2, and I know it came from a mass mapper layer, but if you look at it, it's literally like all of Forest, Glade Cemetery, Reedy Meadow, the office park. And so there's not a lot of residential areas there. It's mostly business or wetlands or cemetery.
There are a couple of apartment buildings there, though. Colonial Point and
Yeah.
Beverly.
Yeah, but to me, it's interesting because I think of those in like 2 small areas, but the land swath that is coded environmental justice includes Reedy Meadow itself and the very large cemetery. So it was just kind of odd. And just kind of pointing that out. I think I mentioned, yeah, the 3.2 we talked about, that'll be the Quantapowhat place. I did have a question about the proposed development projects on page 31. Because the way it reads, this 144 proposed housing units, these proposals represent 165 new housing units. I guess, are we
What, are
saying?
there 2 different numbers in the document there, Eleanor? Is
Yeah,
that-
it was the way it was worded, it was strange. There are 140, but they represent 165 new housing units. So I wasn't sure what we were saying there. That, are we saying 21 new housing units exist already? And then I would have thought, I don't know where these numbers came from, but the 444 units for 200 Quantapowhat was approved sometime in 2022. So I would have thought that would be factored in terms of schedule development. So I think just looking at those housing numbers, like those just seem low to me. And then don't forget, we have a bunch of 40Bs on Nahant Street. That number in the hundreds.
Right, but none of those have been developed.
Well, but the statement is there are 144 proposed housing.
Right, I don't know, right, but
We know there's 444 just at 200 Quantapowhat.
right, but is the Nahant Street, how many are in permitting now? That's what I don't know. There's talk about some, but I don't know what's in permitting. I know one's under appeal. It just started the process. I don't know what that number is.
Aren't there some that have been approved?
On Nahant Street,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh,
I know there are a couple that were talked about. I don't know.
I guess where's the consultant getting these numbers?
I think she got them from Erin Kokinda.
I think if you want to update this to reflect, say, mid 2025, maybe put together a couple sentences and we could think about adding that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we could send that back to Erin and say, is she comfortable with this? And
Hmm.
would she be prepared to speak to these numbers? I mean, I think that jumped out at me because again, we know 444 units are going in at the head of the lake that aren't included here. Table 3.7 existing land cover. Again, just a little odd, but I looked at numbers. If you're sharing your screen, and it seemed like our forest and wetlands grew from 2004 when you add up those categories. Which is odd considering how much development we've done in the last 20 years. Page 36 in the PDF, should flood hazard areas be updated, like for the new flood areas that we approved in town? Okay, sorry, that Miyake Fort, that's a personal opinion. The rare species, missing bog, sedge is there. Okay, still missing 0 Quannapowitt. Page 49 to 51, the lower common number 9 is not listed on the inventory or on the map. I think.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Uncommon.
Oh, it's, maybe I didn't phrase that right. It's maybe in the inventory, but not on the map.
Yeah,
Just,
So it's discussed but not mapped.
here they
yes.
have that number 9. It just happens to be under that 129 there.
129. Oh.
It's just being covered by that
Oh.
overlay.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. Like,
Because you'll see the pink part goes up. It's under the road here, but it goes up along
let
the
me
side.
see.
That's included in that pink area.
Double check. Sorry, and I said page 49. Okay. I don't know why it's hard to, here we go. Do you want to share your, are you able to share your screen with the map? I know. Sorry, I'm trying to jump to it on my end.
Oh, it's paused. Sorry.
Just see if I can get there.
I thought I was sharing my screen the whole time.
You
Is the
were,
map, is
but
the
not
map
this.
It was
just
paused,
bef-
yeah.
Is it just before town properties or no? Okay. So the lower common, I thought that was, you see where like number 23 is? Yeah, I think that's the lower common.
This.
No, it's just above it.
Yeah, I was saying here's the number 9.
Oh, it's under the 129?
Yeah, so that extends, that's here, including the pink area that goes up here.
Oh, I would have think people would just think the pink area was the lower common. Because that gets to be riprap.
And obviously a bad job on the part of the graphics.
Yeah,
person.
yeah, okay. Sorry, I thought it was missing there.
Might be something to highlight for them to fix, if they're fixing things for us.
Yeah.
See. Okay, the numbering. Oh, there was a footer that started showing up at the bottom of page 52, I think, called Wakefield OSRP Public Workshop. So just to make sure the footers are consistent. I was curious why, again, I think the 2004 draft had definitions, like kind of explaining the protection process, and I was curious why we omitted that in the section. Like from this plan.
What?
In the 2004 plan, there's a section, I put this in my comments, where they talk about the different protection levels, like, highly protected conservation and recreation land includes all land that is owned by the Conservation Commission, Water Department, and Parks and Recreation Department. The conversion of these properties would invoke Article 97 or the amendments to the state constitution, making it difficult for a municipality to sell, transfer, use.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. So I was curious, I think why we don't have any of that language anymore. Like we just don't talk about it in this new open space plan. Let's see. And then this is just another comment, page 52, 34 acres of conservation land at 0 Lowell Street. I think that's held by the select board currently. And I guess my overall concern when we put this stuff as conservation land, I think when people see, oh, there's 34 acres on Lowell Street, they don't realize it's a big wetland that has limited recreation potential.
But it is a place for birders. I know people do birding out there, so that, it is still accessible. And there is Elaine assessed this, I don't know, decades ago when they obtained it, and there is a buildable lot in the front. There is enough area. So there is access in, it's not, 100% wet. So there is passive recreation area. Birding is passive recreation.
It is, but typically, I think so. Like I've been in some areas, I haven't been to that parcel in particular, but you go in with galoshes and you're kind of prepared to go up to your ankles.
Right, but some people, a lot of people don't mind that. If they're birding, serious birders do that.
Okay.
And it's town land, so if someone wants to walk it, then.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's just helpful to have context for what type of land it is, that it's primarily wetland or whatever. I said table 5.2 Gertrude Spalding should be listed as Article 97. 0 Butler Ave, which I think is part of the Gumwood Butler Conservation Area, is shown as Article 97 on Mass Mapper. Let's see. I guess again, I had the DPW, like the Hemlock Road land holdings added back. The upper one was certainly being used a lot for recreational purposes. The one that was is still Article 97, what's left of it on table 12. So that doesn't seem to be there. Table 5, sorry. Page 53, conservation restrictions held by the Conservation Commission. One on Montrose Ave and one on Farm Street, both are associated with the New England Power Company. I don't think that's correct. Conservation restrictions are held by the property owner.
If it's a deed for Montrose,
okay,
it's deeded over to the commission, the custody
Okay.
commission in the deed. That
Okay, and
description, it's like 2.5 acres.
for Montrose Ave.
Correct.
Okay. And then what about Farm Street?
I don't know what the exact wording is in that deed.
Okay, so if it's held, then, okay, that's fine. Ethan, you can strike that, but one is with the New England Power Company, the other is with Wakefield Municipal Light and Gas, which is a different company. Do we agree with that?
Which one are we looking at, Eleanor?
Sorry, page 53, conservation restrictions.
Held by the commission.
One on, go pull it up in the plan. Both are associated with the New England Power Company. That's not correct. One is Wakefield Light and Gas.
Okay. And one is New England Power.
Yeah,
Okay.
and they're in two different places. Okay, I just noted protection of water. It's missing, let's see. Community needs, I just wasn't seeing where this came from. Goals 1 through 4, like should the word conservation areas be used? I made a note on the maps. I do think we have a lot of pocket park goals. Again, that's, and we have a lot of playgrounds in town that are in serious need of updating. But actually, I wanted to ask if there's a typo. Objective 3B, work with neighboring towns to advance Wakefield Lynn Rail Trail. Is that supposed to be the Wakefield Linfield Rail Trail?
It seems so.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like a typo.
Yeah.
All right, we addressed 4B. You got that, Ethan. Okay, we talked about the public forum. Oh, page 132 begins Appendix D. This is where it got just funky. Like, take a look at all that formatting. And page 140, ADA evaluation says Gertrude Spalding has a playground. See my slide. Page 140, I wasn't sure if they actually went to the playground because you know, that equipment is so outdated and kind of dangerous, especially the entire playground has like kind of large pebbles. You slide down a slide and land in rocks as opposed to mulch. And the playground's not accessible at all, but the accessibility assessment just talked about the parking pretty much. That's it. Again, 240, 242, the formatting of the assessment. And I think that's it for now.
Okay.
Whatever version is posted on the public site also has the numbering off, which makes it confusing to review.
We certainly heard that from comments.
So for these ones, I'll add some of these that I noted and I'll send
Yeah.
it to you and then maybe add some extra ones, Eleanor, and we could.
Yeah, we can connect if like we can connect on a Friday or something if that works.
Yeah, I'll just send you the document and then just add your
Okay.
comments and whatever.
Thank you.
Yep.
And thanks for doing all the track changes and things, Ethan. That was super helpful.
Yeah. So maybe next meeting would be a good time to discuss a vote for this.
I think, can we confirm I guess before we put it on the agenda, that at least like the page numbers and stuff are
That would probably be,
corrected?
that'll probably be fixed by the consultant when we send it to them, yeah. Just going between PDF and Word and us doing our edits, I think we won't have much success fixing that on our own.
Do we want to see it after the consultants fixed it?
Yeah, we'll see it.
I mean, sorry, let me reword that. Vote on it after the consultant has fixed it?
We'll vote to send it to the consultant, and then from there we can get it back and then vote to go to town council.
Okay, how long will the consultant take?
I have no idea. I mean, it's the summer.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
don't know. It could take a
Okay.
while.
Okay.
They're very responsive, so it just comes down to how busy they are.
okay. I mean, I think we want to wrap, so.
Yeah.
It's been on our plate for well over a year. So, excuse me. Let's get it to the consultant and see if we can get them to give us some answers in a reasonably short period of time.
Hmm.
We'll go from there.
Well, I think we'll bring it back to our next meeting, finalize
Let's
these last
try.
items, and then
That
from
would
there,
be great.
what you're saying.
Okay. That's what I'd like. Yeah.
So if we're all set with that, I'm not sure if you have any wetland bylaw discussion you want to do after this.
I think just keeping it brief because it's almost 10 o'clock.
Mhm.
But I think, I don't know, Ethan and Judy, if you had a chance to watch the planning board discussion, did you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it.
Okay. I thought Jennifer did a great job. I thought they had some really insightful comments and pain points, you know, where they were looking for more clarity from us. You know, like how they, you know, struggled to define bank, like that was also a challenge for them.
Right.
Anyway,
Yeah, but that's not really in their purview anyways. I mean, if it's on a plan, they don't need to make any assessment of a bank. I understand what they're saying, but
I'm not sure they were looking to assess it. I think they just need to understand it.
yeah,
right.
that
But
it should be a clean definition, like a clear definition.
right. And Bill Spalding said, when you see a bank and you see the clear drop off, that to him was, you know, a defining feature. But I didn't know when they talked about enforcement, were they talking about fines? I didn't know what.
I think they were, yes.
I don't think that would ever fly, but you could have an enforcement order, but I just don't know who, like right now, the,
If we issue an enforcement order, what would happen?
Either
that's what I don't know who would be the authority over the commission. That's what I don't know.
So
Because for an order of conditions, the DEP is the overarching authority.
I think more so the way I interpreted it was who is responsible for going there and making sure that, you know, checking the site and that they're, you know, whatever, that their sediment socks or whatever are
Right, but
there.
but there's a pre-construction visit that all that's covered, and then the certificate of compliance visit, and if there are any monitoring requirements in the order of conditions. I think with the planning board, once they approve a subdivision, I don't think there's any follow-up that they're required to do. I think that's where the disconnect kind of was, where they don't have an endpoint, you know,
Well,
for reviewing it.
I think in other towns, the conservation agent is checking periodically the site or Elaine has explained over in Winchester, you know, she's got a commission of 7 people. And so each of them is assigned to go check on a site to make sure the conditions are being followed. I don't know that
But
we
what
have.
is that? But is that just a spot check, or is that if they get complaints? Because I don't know why you wouldn't have some trust.
I don't know why I feel like you're arguing with me. I'm just
I'm not,
trying.
no, I'm not. I'm just trying to understand this. I'm trying to understand the whole enforcement issue. Are you talking about spot checking each different filings along the way? Is that what you mean?
I always thought we were doing it, that the agent was going to the site and make, you know, after the initial, and then work got started, you know, 2 weeks later, you go by and you make sure you know.
No, that's not very common, I don't think, especially with private homeowners.
I
It's
don't think
usually
that's ever been done in Wakefield.
at those designated site visits, pre-construction. Sometimes there's things during or right up until they apply for a COC.
I
So
mean,
there's always 2 or 3 visits throughout the duration of the project, but there's never
Well,
not very
right.
common
So,
that they
but you
happen.
go through during a visit, right?
What's that?
Like you drive by and you see, I'm not talking so much about small private homeowners. It's usually like these larger projects where you go by to make sure that the barrier is still there, that it hasn't, you know, fallen off or whatever, or that they're not, you know, stockpiling a bunch of construction material where they said they weren't going to do it.
The
I think
larger
they're
projects tend to have environmental monitors as part of the conditions. So they go and provide that information to me throughout the project.
okay. So I think the concern they were raising is sometimes we see things that look out of place and we don't know who to contact. And it doesn't fall within our purview, you know, but it's, you know, what do you suggest kind of thing. I would have said, oh, you contact the conservation agent and they should take a look. If you happen to be at the site and you think something that was in our order of conditions is out of place, you should contact the conservation agent and make sure they're following the order of conditions. That's how I would have said would have been the response to that.
so I think big picture, we got some feedback in the planning board meeting, which we do have time to
Yeah.
take under consideration along with feedback that we still hope to get. But I think the priority right now is making sure that we are reaching out to, you know, the other kind of people and departments who need to have some input. I think now DPW is going to review it and give us comments back. I think that's the ball's rolling on that. But I think we should be looking at scheduling our first kind of public presentation that's on our agenda. And we can, you know, add the feedback we received there to what we've already gotten
Yeah.
from planning board and discuss that in another agenda.
Right. And to your point, Jennifer, we probably need like a project plan for, you know, for this to just agree what order we're going into, certainly reaching out for the other boards. But a couple of people have mentioned to me, you know, why, you know, just do the town email blast and say, hey, we've got a draft up, you know, on the website. Here, you can watch this presentation. Here you know, if you have comments or you're interested, please send to us. And then we start at least getting some feedback, like people who are more well-informed, more technical can give us those technical comments. And then, you know, I think some of the feedback we got from the planning board was, you know, oh, we really need to have a pretty succinct list of FAQs, like in a Word document or something that you can go to the website for, you know, why we chose to do this, not that, like why we're not doing fines, why we're, you know, they have different things. And then also just clarifying some of the questions.
I'm not sure we can create a list of FAQs until we understand what the questions are likely to be. So,
Yeah, I mean, we have some FAQs already from previous
Right.
shows we worked
Yeah.
on, and we can just.
right,
Yeah, start
we
adding
can
to
use
it.
those,
Yeah,
but as we get questions, we should add.
yes. Like, oh, that's a good question. We need an answer for that. And then I think,
So how do we proceed?
yes,
I
I
think
think we're
hearing
gonna-
from the DPW might be the next step right now.
And when is that happening?
I think
Um,
probably by the end of the month.
Maybe
Was what
within
they're-
the next few weeks, I would assume.
yeah,
Okay,
I actually, okay. I think where their feedback is gonna be really important is on the exemptions part and the regulations. Because that's where it's really gonna matter for them.
yep,
I do wanna,
particularly exemptions, I think.
yeah. I do want to fine tune our, I feel like we still have some decision making points. And so to kind of have a methodology for approaching those, if we're, and I'm just going to use the word bank or whatever, how it's defined, Wetlands Protection Act, how are other bylaws defining it, and what's the, like, why we would do one or the other. And just kind of taking each sort of hot button-ish, I don't want to say hot button, but like where we've been kind of wavering a little bit, like isolated wetlands, like let's just kind of document like reasons why we want it, what are the key differences, where are people doing it, and why we would want to do it or why we wouldn't want to do it. But to just have kind of a decision template to go through.
You're talking about putting this up on the website?
No, for us to make decisions rather than bickering back and forth about a definite, like really lay out
I
sort
think it
of.
makes sense to lay out what the issues are that we need to deal with.
Correct. And then, again, benchmark what other towns are doing and get some answers as to why they're doing it a certain way and what the advantage is or what a disadvantage is. And I think once we lay out these issues, I think it would be really helpful to have Elaine weigh in on it because she's going through this exercise in Winchester. She has, the 25-year history, so she can say, oh yeah, we did this and we're trying to unwind it because it wound up being too complicated or too onerous.
Okay. So how do we put that together?
Well, let's define the issues we have, right? It was banks, it was isolated wetlands, and then was it the resource 100-foot buffer as a resource area? Is that kind of the key things?
Certainly
Yeah, I
that
think,
last, yeah, go ahead.
well, I think one of our most recent discussions on it was what resource areas get buffer zones.
Right.
Okay. Thanks. Then the 100-foot buffer is a resource area. I think we just have to explain what that means in practice.
But are we talking about making the 100-foot buffer a resource area across the town? That's a rather large.
I think we're talking about whether to do that for certain resource areas.
Like vernal pools.
Okay.
I think that makes sense.
And it may make sense for, the 25-foot setback, you know, in terms of justifying that. If the buffer is not a resource area,
Yeah,
how do we, you know, tell people they can't do work in it? Yeah, and the buffer is a core habitat. You know, I think we have the evidence for that. But again, I don't think that's
I would agree
necessarily
there,
something
yes.
we have to decide today, but I think that's a question that
yeah,
we need to, you know, reach a decision on.
Yeah.
I don't see a reason to wait to start giving, public presentations. I mean, you know, we have a short presentation now. We could give the same presentation, you know, for
Yeah.
example, on the next agenda. The presentation's pretty high level. I think DPW's comments are likely to be very specific in terms of not should you protect vernal pools, but, you know, more fine grained.
mhm,
Yes, I would agree with you there, Jennifer. They're going to be,
mhm.
they're going to be getting down into weeds we didn't even think existed.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I think if we, you know, we don't have a project plan yet, and I think it's a good idea to come up with one, but just looking at the calendar, I think if we kind of, you know, wait for one thing before we start the next, I don't think we're not gonna.
We can't do that because we don't have that much time unless we want to wait for the
Exactly.
next spring.
Exactly.
no. And I think we do want to get feedback on showstopper things, or, you know what I mean? Like on the bylaw itself, like, oh, the way you have this written is, you know, did you mean to say this? I think we definitely want to get people to weigh in on things like that. I mean, I think the issues we're sort of grappling with definitely weren't raised by the two attorneys who looked at the bylaw. So,
So should we plan to have a presentation on the next agenda? Presentation
I mean,
open to the
basically
public?
walk through the presentation that you gave
Mhm.
yeah, and
as part of the next agenda.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
depends, I guess, on whom we're presenting to. If it's the same 5 people who are on the screen right now, I'm not sure it's worth it.
why wouldn't we just do a little public info session for 45 minutes or an hour to do that?
The next agenda, you have 154 Salem and also 50 Quantapowhat already.
Hmm.
So you
Aren't
might
they-
think of that.
Isn't 154 Salem delayed till August? Oh,
That's the next agenda.
oh goodness. Do we want to do a special meeting?
So I'll be, actually, no, I won't be away, but never mind. Eleanor, it sounds like you think it needs to be a long presentation, like
No,
minutes?
I think the one you did was perfect.
That was like 10 minutes, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're going to have a hard time maintaining interest in something much longer than 10 or 15
No,
minutes.
it has to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah, and people who are really interested really should read the bylaw. I mean,
Well, yes,
obviously we'll take,
exactly.
we'll
Read the
obviously,
bylaw and read the
yeah.
broader,
Yeah.
detailed presentation we have.
right, and obviously we'll take questions from anyone who comes and has questions, but,
Right.
We could do it there. We could also see if we could present at a different committee or commission. You know, like ESC or whatever, just ask to get on agendas and try to do it that way as well. But Judy, if you think next agenda is too packed, then
Well, for a 15-minute presentation, it probably isn't. For a 45-minute one, I think it is.
yeah, I mean, maybe 10 to 15, and then there's the public, you know, how many public.
There may
questions
be some
come?
public in.
Yeah,
yes.
are we gonna get?
okay.
Are
So
we
like,
expecting to be taking a vote on 154 and 158 Salem? Or is that a,
I wouldn't
have-
expect to vote if they're giving us a lot of new information. But
okay,
possible.
have
I
they
mean, I'm
given?
guessing they're going to come back with new information given the fact that they've asked for the continuation.
Yeah, they said that's why they continued from this meeting, because they don't have it finished yet.
Okay,
So
so
they're gonna have a new stormwater plan, right?
we'll find out.
Okay. I mean, it would be nice if they have new materials available, it'd be nice to get those ahead of time.
Yeah,
Okay.
at a
Um,
minimum by the Thursday before.
Correct.
So I think if we do a presentation in the next Concom, then whatever changes we make, there's time for another one again
Mhm.
before finalizing or of something more final. I like the idea of, seeing what other meeting agendas we can get on. ESC makes a lot of sense.
I did reach out to FOLQ, but they're kind of on summer hiatus. And their schedule tends to coincide with our schedule. But that would definitely be another group to hit up.
But you may want to invite people on the other side as well. Developers,
Oh, yeah.
builders, things like that, to get the other.
I think that makes sense. We definitely don't want to just hear from friends.
No, yeah. I know, I'm trying to think of what Economic Development Council, I'm, you know, yeah, if you have ideas, Judy, like, of where else? I mean, that might be the easiest thing, honestly, is to send out a blast through the town communications channel, like an announcement, and say, we have this posted, please send us comments.
Right, but
And we
what's happened at previous attempts at the wetland bylaw is people that are either opposed to it or are development minded show up at town meeting.
Mhm.
They don't show up if they're not invited, I don't know that it's something they would attend. That's why I'm saying you may want to try to recruit some people like that to come.
Sorry, are you saying recruit developers to come to the meeting?
Yes.
Yes, like, yeah, Brian, but I'm also thinking we could send an email blast to let people know.
Right, right. No, I understand what you're
I
saying.
think what Judy's saying is they might not come to our info session, but they might come out to the town meeting. So there might be more people that they might not tell you they're opposed to it. They're just gonna watch from a distance for now.
And then show up at town meeting to express their opposition.
Right, but if you invite them, it may get a few people to come.
Okay, like invite them to our meeting.
Yes.
Okay. Sure. Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Paul, I'm not sure how, I guess we're gonna have to plan carefully going forward because none of us can talk to each other.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to divide up now, who might be interested in doing, like, I'm happy to work on one of these, whether it's the FAQ or the plan schedule, between now and, our next meeting, and send that, as meeting materials,
Yeah.
or like the running list of questions we have that we have to make sure we get back to.
Yeah. That would be great. I mean, I was interested in kind of coming up with that decision chart, sort of compiling like some of the points that, for example, Ethan raised, where it came from the Wetlands Protection Act, and then trying to see, okay, what can I find from other bylaws and why are people doing these things?
So you want to do the outstanding kind of question list?
Yeah, is that okay?
Yeah. And I'll do, I can pull together an FAQ list and project plan, or at least a draft of one.
Yeah. I think my like last slide that I added to the presentation could be used, like just expanded on. But I do think, I know engineering has a lot of work going on like this summer and stuff. So I think like they can look at it now, but I would really want their input on, the exemptions stuff, like that stuff is pretty critical.
Yeah, I think we want to talk to them.
And then I think we have to also just maybe re-clarify, like, the list of exemptions, and just, I think there's some things we can handle in the regulations, but just sort of, double checking if there's anything I can't think through those right now, but Ethan, I don't know if you have given any thoughts to sort of exemptions
I
or
haven't
have talked to
thought
other.
much
Okay.
about it. I think if we can keep it as close to the Wetlands Protection Act, that would probably be our best interest.
Well, then our bylaw doesn't stand, right? It's got to be more protective.
I think it is.
But,
with the
but in terms of
additional-
just the
Oh,
exemption,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Eleanor, I don't think
Yes.
that's critical.
Oh, okay. No, I'm sorry. I was thinking more the, we'll think through it, like where we would allow people to, if they have an existing structure, for example, like that we have a little more of a waiver, I guess, thinking through. It's getting too late now. I don't want to bring
I
this
think
up.
we should think it through and
Yeah.
then discuss it
Yeah,
and not do it at 10 at night next time.
no. But Judy and Ethan, what might be helpful is if you have a plan that's kind of come up recently or in the past that you think would present an issue under this new wetlands bylaw. I think that would be helpful to look at it as a group and think about how we would approach it.
When you say a plan, you mean a development proposal?
Yes, like the single family house, the small lot that exists today, that type of thing where, you think it may be an issue, because having an example
Okay,
like that
I
is
understand what your
helpful.
point is.
Yeah.
Ethan, can you come up with something from our current or recent archives about that?
Yeah,
Yep.
Okay, and circulate that.
yeah, like the Pheasant Wood one is probably a good example. Anyway,
Okay, so, and when we encourage people to give feedback, that's either in meetings or they can email comments to Conservation Commission at Wakefield. That would be the email address for them to use.
I think that's our only email address, isn't it?
yeah,
Okay.
Because we certainly don't want to use our personal emails for that.
right.
Okay. I did have one other, I don't know if we're done with the wetlands discussion. I did want to just, I had a follow-up question about the email about the Voc meeting. Do we know yet who's going to attend that? That's on the 25th.
I'll be there.
Attend what?
The vocational school meeting, the I guess it's a
I think
pre-construction
Ethan
meeting.
and I discussed that earlier today, and I'm not here. You're going to be attending, Ethan?
Yep.
All right. What time was it at?
8 o'clock.
I might be able to go. Do we have to confirm at a certain time?
You don't have to confirm. They
Okay,
just invited, I think, the commission as a courtesy.
okay.
Do you know if it'll include a site walk?
I think it'll
It's,
Yeah, I'd probably cover a portion of the site while also discussing certain parts of it.
And then I don't think we're gonna have time to get to all of it today, but the email from the public. I think we probably addressed some of it in the OSRP review, but
Yeah, I think we covered a lot of it today. Anything extra, I'll include it in what we talk about next meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
Do we have anything else?
Now at 10:15.
Yeah, I would say it's probably time for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
I'll
Second.
it. Mhm.
Okay, all in favor, Jennifer,
Yes.
Eleanor,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Thank you all.
I think we are adjourned. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you all in